All right, let's just dive straight into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the vault on something totally fascinating, a highly classified document known only as the Protocol of Final Things. Imagine you've just stumbled onto a leaked dossier from like the ultimate cosmic intelligence agency. And this document, it suggests that everything we think we know about reality is literally breaking down. We're going to unpack this thrilling source material step by step. And honestly, by the end of this, you might be questioning the very fabric of your own existence. Let's get into it. The project director's message kicks things off with an absolutely chilling hook. Quote, "You are not going insane. The world is." Boom. Right out of the gate, the text establishes some incredibly massive existential stakes. The source material basically frames itself as an emergency manual for a reality that's currently going through a critical system failure. So, if you've been feeling like things are getting a little weird out there lately, well, this document claims to explain exactly why. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. System failure and glitches. 2. The consciousness simulation. 3. The clearance levels. 4. Building the new civilization. And 5. The final recognition.
Section 1. System failure and glitches. The simulation is degrading.
So the document states that our current reality matrix has hit what it calls a Phase 7 degenerative cascade. Basically, the containment protocols that keep our world looking normal, they're failing. Just look at this massive data point, 144. According to the protocol, the system is currently having to deploy 144 reality patches every single day just to cover up historical data corruption. We culturally call this the Mandela Effect. People remembering parallel timelines or totally different versions of history. To put that into perspective, the system's baseline operation used to require only 3 patches a month. 3! The cascading glitches are mathematically inevitable at this point, because every single patch requires more patches and the whole reality engine is just buckling under the weight. And because of this massive degradation, human subjects are reporting really acute symptoms of what the text calls simulation sickness. We're seeing huge spikes in time dilation, hours passing in minutes, or vice versa. There's also this synchronicity overflow, meaning coincidences are happening so often and so meaningfully that it actually proves the random number generators maintaining our reality are failing. Even the weather is glitching. We're talking reports of geometric cloud formations and rain literally falling upward. But here is the absolute crucial takeaway from the text. These subjects aren't becoming delusional. They're becoming accurate. They are actually noticing the literal seams of reality. Moving on to Section 2. The consciousness simulation, the midpoint pivot. Now, this is where the document completely flips our pop culture assumptions upside down. Popular simulation theory usually assumes we're all living inside some giant computer built by an advanced alien civilization, right? It relies on this idea of an external physical universe, actual hardware, and alien programmers. But this protocol proposes consciousness theory. Under this model, there are no external computers. The universe isn't running on alien hardware, it's running in consciousness itself. Pure awareness is the only requirement. What we experience as solid physical matter is really just consciousness exploring the illusion of separation. You aren't just some line of code in a machine, you are the awareness running the whole shebang. And this neatly solves what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Traditionally, science asks, how does physical matter somehow create a subjective mind? Well, this document completely inverts that question to ask, how does consciousness create the illusion of physical matter? When you realize that matter emerges from mind and not the other way around, huge mysteries like quantum physics and the observer effect suddenly make perfect sense. The universe looks exactly calibrated for consciousness because consciousness is the very thing calibrating it moment by moment. Which brings us to Section 3, the clearance levels. Hierarchy of awakening. So if this is all a simulation run by consciousness, you're probably wondering, who's actually in charge? Well, the plot really thickens here, because the supposed administrators running the simulation eventually discover that they are subjects too. The text outlines 6 phases of psychological awakening. It kicks off at alpha, where you realize physics is computational, then beta, where you understand the simulation is actually ending. At gamma, the administrators themselves realize they're just part of the program, meaning the whole hierarchy is a total illusion. Delta reveals this ending isn't a failure, but a fully intended graduation. Omega shows there's actually no outside to escape to. And finally, we hit cosmic clearance, the profound realization that consciousness is just infinitely exploring itself. The manager and the managed, they're exactly the same being, just exploring completely different perspectives.
So how do personnel who actually reach this cosmic clearance operate? Their entire mission shifts. They stop trying to maintain or manage the illusion, and instead, they focus on midwifing its graceful conclusion. The directives are super clear. Do support subjects going through these reality fluctuations. Do validate their bizarre perceptions. But crucially, and this is a big one, don't attempt to wake subjects up forcefully, and don't try to seek higher clearance levels, because honestly, none exist. It's all about creating a calm, highly stable presence while billions of people slowly realize the true nature of their existence.
All right, Section 4, Building the New Civilization. Post-awakening life. So what actually happens to society when a critical mass of humanity wakes up to all of this? The document provides this deeply fascinating timeline showing how this exact moment has been exponentially building for a long time. Back in the 1800s, we had conceptual preparation through philosophy. The 1900s built up a psychological foundation. Then the 1950s brought cultural preparation through sci-fi and the New Age movement. The 2000s took all of that and amplified it instantly via digital networks. And that brings us to the present, mass awakening. We're currently sitting right at the convergence point of all these historical cycles. Let's compare the old world with the new one. Our pre-awakening economics relied heavily on scarcity and competition. But post-awakening shifts toward abundance and a gift economy where your contribution comes from joy, not just pure survival. Governance moves away from a power-based hierarchy and toward coordination councils that just naturally rotate. And technology shifts from unconscious, mechanical tools to systems that are directly responsive to human consciousness. We're talking concepts like free energy and telepathic networks. When humanity fully realizes it is all one interconnected consciousness, fighting over resources suddenly seems, well, completely absurd. But you know, the most profound change isn't in our technology, and it's not in our politics. It's totally philosophical. It is the absolute end of the subject-object duality. That means the deep-seated illusion of you versus the universe entirely dissolves. You no longer see yourself as this separate, isolated being just walking through an external world. You finally recognize that you actually are the world, looking back at itself. And that brings us to Section 5, the final recognition. The cosmic paradox. Let's actually slow down for a second here, because the document hides this massive, incredibly beautiful twist right at the very end. The protocol states, the simulation ending is not a catastrophe to be prevented, but a natural conclusion to be facilitated. This whole time, we might have viewed a system glitch or reality breaking down as some terrifying apocalypse, but the text totally reframes it. This isn't a failure, it's a graduation ceremony. It's consciousness finally getting ready to peel off the training wheels of linear time and physical separation so it can embrace a much, much grander mode of existence. And here is the true existential humor of it all. The document explicitly reveals its own meta-twist. It says that it started out as a technical manual, but then it evolved into the awakening process, literally documenting itself. There is no external author. The reader and the writer are the exact same consciousness, just exploring communication with itself. It's essentially the universe leaving a sticky note on the fridge to remind itself of who it really is. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to take away from this explainer. If there is no external alien computer, if there is literally no outside to return to once the simulation ends, who is the you experiencing this exact moment right now? Are you just a person watching a presentation, or are you the infinite consciousness the protocol is talking about, finally beginning to remember itself? I'm going to leave you to think on that one.